I'd like to wish all mothers a happy Mother's Day. I know that you can't always relax, but I wish you a good day of relaxation and happiness. As mothers, we don't always get to relax, but let's hope you have a nice day. Today, I'm actually wanting to address mothers as of the sudden change of circumstances that has changed your actual role as a mother. A lot of you, I know, will have been out of work, and now suddenly you may be having your children 24 hours a day. I want to talk about homeschooling. For those of you that don't know, I do homeschooling. I have done homeschooling. And I thought that I'd get somebody to ask some questions on the subject, so that if there's anything that you might be wondering about having children at home, it might help you. I know it's not quite the circumstance of homeschooling, but some of you might now change. Under the circumstances, you are going to have quite a while with your children, and you may find out that you quite like it. So it might be quite interesting to hear some questions answered from somebody that's done homeschooling. So I'll let the person start asking me questions.
Okay, the first question we have received in here is, how many children do you have?
Now, I actually have 8 children. And the quite interesting thing about it is that the children actually range massively in ages. I have 2 grown-up sons who are in their 20s, who are actually have their own careers now. Are still in London at the moment, unfortunately, under these circumstances just now. Some of them hopefully may come up. I also have children who are at the end of school age, and I have another child which is just at the time when they'd be doing exams at school age. Then I have another one who's at the start to the middle of the senior school. Then I have 2 girls who are actually basically at what you would call the start of primary school. And then I have one that is at nursery school, which is just coming up for school age. So under that circumstance, it's quite good for you all, because I can kind of answer or tell you a bit on all ages of children.
Okay, the other question which we have received in here in the chat is, how many children do you have homeschooled at the moment?
Okay, I'm actually homeschooling properly 5 children. The 6th one is 18 now and is doing a career himself. So at the moment he's not being homeschooled. So that's the situation at the moment.
Okay, we have a question from Zara from Belgium. She said, what are your thoughts in the education system in the UK?
The thoughts on it?
Yeah, your beliefs. What do you believe in the education system? What's your thoughts?
All right. Well, strangely enough, I actually believe a lot in the education system, possibly the opposite from what most people think. A lot of people think for homeschooling, anyway, in Britain, I know not in America, homeschooling is quite big in America. In Britain, it is more in England than it is where I am just now in Scotland. That you are somebody that might be kind of bohemian and kind of like into more kind of free and open, but I actually come from a household that we went to private education, and also my parents did as well. And on top of that, all my family actually have got degrees and have their own businesses. And I actually went to university, and I've also been at normal college and private college as well. So I believe totally in proper education.
Okay. Another question which is coming from California, from John and his wife Samantha.
Okay.
Do you have an education background yourself, or are you a bohemian? Is this why you're doing the homeschooling?
Well, as I was saying in the previous question, I am a wee bit of a bohemian because I love travel, but in the sense of education, to start with, I would say I wasn't a bohemian. I was very much into paying for education and getting private education because I believed that you really got a good education there. But as the time has gone on and I have had different children, my thoughts have actually evolved quite greatly. I will actually elaborate on that. Because I've had 8 children, I've actually done something quite different than a lot of parents have done, or I've been lucky enough at times to be able to do this. I haven't always managed to do this. What I actually decided to do when I had children was I decided that I would put my child or my children to schools that suited the child themselves. I.e., if my child was into sport, then I put them to a school that specialised in sport, or one that had like a lot of possibilities to do different sports. If one of my children were into artistic things or not so into schoolwork, then I put them to another school that was more into artistic kind of pursuits. So that actually means that I actually know about a lot of different education. I had some of my children in a private school, which actually was very sporty. I had some of my children in a Steiner school, which I don't know if people know about. It is very orientated to language, and it's a lot more free in education. So you learn more about outside and about how to move your body. And I also had some of my children in Montessori's, which is totally the child-led. So a child actually decides what they want to learn, and then the teachers follow. And I've also had some of my children in just normal educational situations, and they've liked that. And then obviously now I've done the homeschooling situation.
Excellent. Another question coming from Sonia from Dubai.
Uh-huh.
Why did you start homeschooling? What was the reason behind it?
Right, well, it's quite an interesting reason. We actually had a child, one of our children was born prematurely, and when they came to an age of when you're starting to talk, they did not talk. Now, this is actually, without going into personal details, was a medical challenge. It wasn't anything else. But at the time we were told that it possibly was other things like autism and all that. And I disagreed quite profusely on that because I'd done some pediatric nursing. Anyway, moving on from that, because I agreed with education, I decided to put my child to a specialist school for language, which is actually a normal school which has a language department in it. And within that, they teach a lot smaller amount of children to specialise in language, because I knew how, with having older children, by then I had about 3 or 4, I knew how important it was the early years of education to be able to learn about spelling and speaking. So that is why I did that situation. But unfortunately, what we were told that my child would get, we were told my child would be in that class only for doing language, but would be mixed in the other classes for sport and for other subjects. But unfortunately that didn't happen, and my child was not actually very happy in the circumstance. So we decided to approach the school about it. And actually we also looked for another school. We looked for a private all-girls school, which my child actually went to an interview there and got a place there. And strangely enough, the school approached that school and we lost the place. So due to that fact, I decided to look into other alternatives and actually went to a lawyer and found out there was possibilities of homeschooling. So as you can see by that, it's kind of like what's happened to everybody just now. When I started homeschooling, it wasn't really a circumstance that I was looking for. It kind of just happened because we were looking for a better solution.
Okay, we have a question from Genevieve from London, who is a mother of 2. She says she is very worried about the circumstances they are in just now, but she does not know how to start all this. But she's asking, how long have you been homeschooling? What experience do you have?
Okay, well, I've actually now been homeschooling for over 7 years. And during that time, I actually have a teaching background, but to do homeschooling, you don't actually need a teaching background. And even with the teaching background to start with, I was very I'll put the word scared in quickly when I put a program together, but you don't actually need to put a program together. But to start with, if you want to do it officially, the education department would like you to kind of show what you would like to do. Now, it doesn't need to be a very educational, program, but as long as the one that I put together at the time, or we as a family put together at the time, was quite educational. We had all the time split up between all the hours, and we had loads of things in that we were going to pursue over the time. But what you will find is when you do homeschooling that you really only need to do it for a lot less time than you do normal schooling, probably between 2 to 3 hours for an older child. For a younger child, it's about an hour. And the reason for that is that it's more one-to-one and it's more intense. So it means the child needs less time of education because you're doing one-to-one and they learn a lot more. So with younger children, if you're doing reading with them and say writing and maths, it's very intensive, so they need a lot less time to do it, and then the rest of the time can be done with playing and to do with fun things like cooking, like art, like doing dancing, like doing music, whatever, so you can go that way with it.
Okay. Another question from Canada.
Okay.
From Canada, just from Anastasia, and she says, do you have a program in place if somebody is needing any help? Would you be able to assist them in the process? Yeah,
I would. I'm actually in the process just now of writing a book on homeschooling, which I'll probably be putting the cover out soon to show people what they think of that. But what I can also do is if any people have any questions anywhere, I can answer that. And on top of that, I will be putting together a program for people if they're interested in homeschooling. And on top of that, I can actually, if people are interested, I can show people how they can put together a program of, what you might want to do during the day for different age groups, that is, because I know it's quite difficult at the start for that. But the one thing that I will say with the suddenness of the children coming out of school just now, a lot of them won't want to possibly they want to have fun just now. And, under the circumstance of it, a lot of children might be a bit kind of sad or depressed. So we don't want to push education down their throats just now. We want children to have fun and maybe do more kind of like cooking and, kind of fun things, like maybe like with the younger ones, they can do like fun reading with you or reading fun books that you like as a family, or doing games together. You can, if you do games together like Snakes and Ladders with younger kids, they're learning numbers, or even is it Uno, I think it's called, the other name. You can learn about numbers with that and things like that. So that's quite a good idea to start with, with kids. Even a lot of people like to do yoga with some kids as well. Oh, there's also Monopoly. There you go. There's another idea. I'm getting told by one of my kids there. I was forgetting. Yeah, that's true. That's a good...
The next question, which comes in from Scotland, from Arbroath, further up north. Do you have to be a teacher? Do you have to be qualified to be able to teach at home and homeschool your kids? Knowing, under the circumstance that we are literally put in a situation where we have no choice, how would one go about being able to teach so you do not miss whatever is happening in the programs in the school curriculum?
Categorically, you don't need to be a teacher. As I said, I had taught children English from about the age 7 to 18, and adults as well. And I'd also taught youths of about 16 and adults like physics and stuff like that, and chemistry and practical stuff when I did beauty and things like that. So I've done teaching, in colleges, but no, definitely not. In fact, actually, sometimes that can be better if you don't have teaching qualification, because you can actually evolve more naturally with your child. And what you're going to do is you're going to actually come together over this time. To start with, I think you might all people that have maybe not all, like some families that have maybe not been around each other, it might be slightly awkward, or it might even be fun to start with, you don't know, but it's a different situation, and you're all going to evolve in an amazing way together, because you're going to come closer, because you've all been put in this situation that you weren't expecting to be put in. To start with, teenagers and things like that might be a bit grisly because, you know, they're sort of in an enclosed situation. To start with, they'll be happy because they can play Xbox and all that, but after that they might start getting a bit gurney. But there's loads of programs online that I can tell you about, or you can look up on the internet or even YouTube, that will give information on that. And the other thing that's good about this is you're going to start to learn your child inside out. You're going to start to learn they're going to start to know more about you as well. So it's going to be a very big connecting kind of situation between children and parents. And through that, you're going to understand what you like doing together, whether it's reading, whether it's maybe more cooking things you like to do. You can teach them through cooking, like measuring things about numbers. And with older ones, you might like to do some kind of like media stuff together, like talking about politics, talking about different countries, talking about subjects they might be interested in. They might be interested in doing drawings or cartooning. You can look into things like that as well. So there's lots of things that can come about from this.
I think that the last and final question is, if we were to pursue this, would you be able to take questions from us via phone calls, emails, or how would one get in touch with you just to get in touch?
Yeah, we're actually, we haven't got a phone number just out on Excel, but we're going to be putting a phone number on Excel, and we're also going to be putting an email up if anybody wants any questions answered or anything at all that they want to ask. I'm quite happy to give anybody any free advice at all over this time, because it's totally free. It's a sudden change of everybody's circumstances, and by the sounds of what we were hearing on the news, it could be well up until September, or even maybe longer than that, a year. So it's quite a profound change in everybody's life and circumstances, and we all want to be as relaxed and calm as possible over this time. So it'd be nice if mums or people that have got some information can get together and kind of tell people, what would, if anybody's needing any help or anything at all. But thank you for listening, and I hope this maybe helps. And again, have a lovely Mother's Day and have some fun with your children. Bye.